God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The Christian world has greatly misunderstood and misinterpreted this. The literal translation of both the Greek, I'm not even going to try to say the word, I'm going to put it on the screen, and Hebrew, put that on the screen too. Two of the three languages the Bible was wrote in prove that spirit mean breath and air. Okay, let's get into it. Now we really understanding the words, really getting into the etymology of words. The current Orthodox interpretation of this passage renders the image and likeness here referred to as spiritual likeness, therefore eliminating any possibility that God looks like man. However, those who understand Hebrew know that this is the most inappropriate interpretation about that passage. The Hebrew words salim, image, and demut, likeness, denotes the outward form, not attributes. Would you trust the people who performed multiple genocides on your people, proven to lie to you about God, always kill and oppress you every time they encounter you in the world, support things that are against God, etc.? If I don't do correct actions, would you trust me to teach you the truth about God? If I'm clearly not a representative or a person that follow God, and you can see that through my actions, would you trust me to teach you about God? All right, y'all, welcome back to another episode of the Don't Be a Viking podcast. Today, we're going to take I won't even say a different approach. It's really like along the same lines, it's just a different topic. Today, we're going to talk about is God a spirit or a man? Now, you probably think like, okay, cool. What do this got to do with relationships? We're going to get to that. Now, I personally really I ain't gonna say I don't care, but I'm not trying to convince you on what religion to be. Hey, that's between you, God, your family, all that. The reason I'm talking about it and the reason I'm bringing it to the podcast is because I feel like the way you believe, no matter what your belief system is, the way you believe in God, the way you believe your finances should go, how it should be split, whatever, the way you believe directly impact your life. And we also going to talk about that. Everything that I bring up today, I'm going to explain it not for the sake of trying to convince somebody to change their religious perspectives or ideologies or whatever, but I'm bringing it up because like I said, I feel like the way you believe can either positively or negatively impact your relationship. And the reason I'm cite my sources and go into depth on it is because if I say something like a woman should lead the household because all of history has been successful when there was a matriarchal society, it sound good if I just say that sentence. Like, okay, if all of history been straight and been productive and elevating like that, then okay, maybe the woman should be the head of the household or whatever. Okay, cool. It sound good. But that's not a historical fact. That's not the reality of the situation. So me just saying it, but not having none to back it, you can easily just throw the argument out. So the reason I'm going to show the backing of what I'm talking about is for that reason, not to try to convince people, but to just have concrete, solid evidence. Because if you're just trying to make an argument out of thin air or speak on some things and you just making stuff up or just saying what you think, is nothing to back that. That's a weak statement. You might as well just shut the hell up, keep your mouth closed. So we're gonna get straight into it. So bam, I got why is learning about God important. And before I even started, let me say I'm not finna sit here and try to, even though I got quite a bit of this information memorized, I'm not finna try to go off memory and not look at the computer. I don't have an interest in trying to make myself look smarter than what I am or impress somebody watching it by just going only off memory and not looking at my notes or whatever. For what? If I got the notes and I'm the one that wrote these notes, obviously you know I got the knowledge or at least access to the knowledge. Why do I have to try to like go the extra mile and say, okay, I'm not going to look at my notes at all? No, I'm not going to do that. The other reason I'm not gonna do it is because what if I miss some? The tip of a pen is sharper than the human mind as far as remembering stuff. Even though you might have good memory, if you write it down and you read what you wrote down, I'm sure you're not gonna forget nothing. So don't think stealing somebody's knowledge from looking off the computer. This is my slideshow, and I'm saying everything, and stay to the end of the video and I show you or tell you or both where I got most of this information from. Most of the information that's in this slideshow came from one book. So you know it's a powerful book after you see the type of knowledge we're finna get into. Why is learning about God important? It can either give you strength or make you weaker, depending on the teacher, what we just talking about a second ago. Now, I want to go into different reasons that I say belief directly affect the outcome in your reality. In 2021, it was an experiment done on 2 college students. Both was given regular coffee. One group coffee contained Adderall in it, a drug that helps with focus and brain performance. The group who thought that they were given Adderall felt more alert and performed better on the memory test than the other group. Since they expect the drug to make them perform better and they believe they took the drug, they were able to change their outcomes based on their belief. Remember that as we go through the whole slideshow, the whole video, on just because they thought something about them was different, it really led into the outcome that played out. Then the next one, I could have kept going with different sightings or different research articles about placebo and different beliefs and expectation effects, but these two will just give you some type of reference so we can go forward. Bob Rosenthal, a research psychologist, had some lab rats. All these rats was the same, but he labeled some of the rats smart and some of the rats dumb. He brought other scientists to the lab and he had them work with their rats. The scientists knew if their rats was dumb or if their rats was smart, or at least labeled that way. The smart rats did almost 2 times as well as the dumb rats. The different expectations in the researchers led to teeny behavior changes. Every action has a reaction. You may be more gentle to a person you think soft and tougher to a person you think got thick skin. You might say different words with a person you think is smarter than a dumb person, leading to completely different experience in the lifetime and interactions of you and that rat or you and that person. So just to make sure it's a clear understanding on this, I talk to my brother different the way that I talk to my girlfriend. I talk to my brother a little tougher. Why? Because I think and believe he tougher. So since I talk to him different, even though I might tell both of them do the exact same thing, hey, y'all go to the gym. The way I'm going to talk to my brother go to the gym, I'm going to be on him a little bit more. That'll lead to different outcomes that my brother have. That'll lead to a different relationship dynamic that me and my brother got versus me and my girl. So it's just little stuff. When you believe something, it's little actions you will make that you might not even notice based off your belief system that will alter the way things go forward. Then I got, all right, how does this connect to relationships? We just talked about better outcomes. Having the same beliefs, principles, and values allows the both of you to have a fair judge to dictate the things y'all might disagree over. Bam. Let's say something like covering hair. A woman should cover her hair. That's something that my girl, and I'm using this example because it's not that much me and my girl disagree over. So I had to intentionally try to find one. So me and my girl pretty much agree on everything. So it's not really stuff we'll have to sit down and say, okay, like, how we gonna go about this? For the most part, it's like, all right, Bam, babe, what you do this. And she's like, okay, I was thinking the same thing. Bam, move forward. But with covering her, she not necessarily bought or sold into the concept of covering her. Now, if this was my rule thing, then it can go like, okay, her word versus my word. The reason it's important for y'all to have the same belief system is because it give y'all what's the word? It give y'all a rubric or a rule of measure to go off of. So it's not my rule that, hey, babe, cover your hair. It say this in the Quran. It say this in the Bible. This is God's rule to cover your hair. So since it's God's rule, it take less weight off me or less weight off the relationship, period. As far as, okay, it's not me doing something or me making you do something that you don't like. It's God making you do something that you don't like. Now it take the pressure off everybody and everybody can say, okay, cool, like I can get down with it. Even though I still don't prefer it or whatever, it's like, okay, I can get down with it. But if this was Vincent rule, she'll have more lip to come back with it. But you do this or you do, or I don't want to do this because of da, da, da. So it's less to argue about when y'all got the same beliefs and value systems. Bam. We're just saying how beliefs change reality because I know who God is and I understand how my woman and myself are connected to that God. And more directly than I thought, it makes me respect both parties, myself and her, and the man will continue to elevate to attempt to be like God. Why is it important to look at the past to seek the truth of God? See, a lot in this video, we won't be talking about 2024 stuff. We'll be looking, or at least we won't be talking about 2024 stuff to try to find the truth. We're going to look in the past to try to find the truth, and let's explain why. Why is it important to look at the past to seek the truth of God? The one true God / religion can't be a new one because God isn't new. So if a new type of God is presented, we must question this. Is this smart to allow an evil person to educate you on who God is and change the way your own people worship God? We're going to get into who the evil person is. We're going to get into how our people, the original people of the earth, worship God and they practices or beliefs and whatever. Jesus didn't come with a new religion if it was the religion of God. If God been here for trillions of years and people been here for trillions of years, excuse me, you think Jesus came with something new? No, he came with the same religion the people of old had, and it only got corrupted more recently. So, matter of fact, I'm just reading straight from here. Jesus is the way, and without Jesus, you can't reach heaven, is what a lot of folks say. If Jesus came 2,000 years ago, what about all the people that came before Jesus? If the man we call Jesus of 2,000 years ago is the way to reach heaven, is all the people before him automatically condemned to hell? Any logical person would say, nah, it had to be at least one good person in the trillions of people that lived before Jesus. Everybody can't be automatically condemned to hell. So that make you question yourself, so when people say Jesus is the only way, what about 3,000 years ago? If Jesus was here 2,000 years ago, what about 3,000 years ago? Is Jesus the only way? We'll get into that. I don't even want to give my answer right now. Jesus didn't come with a new religion that has never been here before. Jesus came with the original religion that was practiced by the original people on the earth before we deviated from their religion, if we understand it correctly, or if we understand Jesus correctly. What Jesus brought is only new to the people who was under the following of the devil. It is not new to history in all. We must ask ourselves who is and isn't qualified to teach us on who God is. Now, this is the sentence that so many people use if we try to have a conversation on is God a man or a spirit. John 4:24. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. The Christian world has greatly misunderstood and misinterpreted this. The literal translation of both the Greek, I'm not even going to try to say the word, I'm going to put it on the screen, and Hebrew, put that on the screen too. Two of the three languages the Bible was wrote in prove that spirit mean breath and air. Okay, let's get into it. Now we really understanding the words, really getting into the etymology of words. Spirit is translated from the words air and breath. This breath or air in motion lines up with what our ancient brothers and sisters said. Breath is the intrinsic life force that emanates all things. This is the prana of the Hindus or the ba of the ancient Egyptian. Wade Nobles describes the ba as follows. The ba was the second or seven divisions of the psychic nature. It represented the transmission of breath of life. The ancients believed that there was only one power which was symbolically represented as the breath, and that this power or breath was transmitted from the ancestors to the descendants. The ancients believed that this power or energy has always existed and will always exist. The Ba was in effect the vital principle which represented the essence of all things. Now, going back to John 4:24, the breath of John 4:24 is therefore the extrinsic essence of our reality. Breath, or to breathe, is defined by drawing in and expelling air. Air is the gaseous mixture surrounding Earth. We're going to break it all the way down because I don't want nobody confused. I want you to know exactly how we got from point A to point B. A gas is a loose assortment of various types of atoms. An atom is an extremely teeny ball of energy. Energy, then, is the root of air and thus is the root of spirit and breath. Cool. Make sure y'all follow along, bruh. If it's anything you got a question with, drop it in the comments below and we'll make another video going into depth about that one specific thing. Scripture does say that God is spirit. Pneuma. I think that's how you said it. The Greek word. But pneuma in the Greek of that time did not necessarily indicate incorporeality. No physical body is what incorporeality means. In fact, it was sometimes taken to imply the exact opposite. According to Stoicism, which is an ancient Greek school of philosophy, God and the world are made of the same stuff. The world you stand on and live in is not only spiritual or the unseen. It is simultaneously both spiritual and physical, seen and unseen. So, in the school of Stoicism, just like the world we live in evolve around the seen and unseen come together, like the brother used in the previous example, electricity. Electricity is the seen and unseen. You don't necessarily see the currents or see the electricity unless you see a like spark or something, but you don't see the electricity, but you see the after effect of what the electricity produced, whether it's TV, lights, whatever. Okay, cool. That's how the world is. It's the seen and the unseen pairing together, and according to them, God is made up of this same essence, the seen and the unseen. Backing up the previous point made, which was the Greeks' understanding of spirit, did not mean exclusively immaterial. The church father Origen of Alexander acknowledged this verse to be the verse that earlier Christians used to prove God possesses a material body. So just how folks now will use John 4:24 to say, see, this is proof that God don't got a material body. He only immaterial. The church father, Origen of Alexander, said this is the same exact verse that earlier Christians used to prove God had a physical body. So that goes to prove the previous point of the Greek word for spirit that it was translated from did not mean outside a physical body or separate from a physical body. Spirit today, people can try to say, see, spirit is separate from the body, even though they got no evidence of this. That's just some people say now. Back then, when they said spirit or breath, because remember the word spirit translates breath or air. So when they use the word breath, it includes the physical body, not excluded like we try to do now. He says, I know that some will attempt to say that even according to our own scriptures, God is a body because they find it in the gospel according to John. Well, we're talking about John 14:4. So the church father here is arguing against God having a body. So we can see, okay, the thought process is starting to shift. But he's saying the earlier Christians before him and around this time will argue that God do got a body. So you see within the Christians themselves, this conflict is starting to take place. Do God got a body? Nah, God don't got a body. Yes, God do got a body. We're going to get more into that. How this thought process expanded even further. Early Christians understood the spirit manifests itself through a material body, just like our ancient elders from Kemet and even earlier. But if you now say God possesses a material body, people think this is incorrect and even blasphemous because they think that it is going against the original teachings since this is the first time they ever heard this. They believe they are being taught the original lessons and that the interpretation that they have of the original lessons is correct. But according to nature, our ancient brothers and sisters, who is more credible than any Western educated Christian scholars, and apparently according to the church father Origen, people, even including early Christians, believed God possesses a material body. So if the teachings currently don't represent or reflect it, then who can we say is more likely wrong? All the people who came before now, all the original people, the early Christians, everybody, or the new people, the recent people? Which one is more likely to be wrong? We'll go into it. Elijah Muhammad said all this in a simple way. He said, the biggest soul we have is air. The human soul is nothing but a person's life. It is not something which is separate from the body in which we are in. If you study the theological side of it, it only means our breath. That is the soul, our breath. The Bible teaches that when God made man, he breathed into the man the breath of life. Then he became a living soul. Brother, most honorable Elijah Muhammad is so wise. Everything we just said, breaking down the etymology of the word, how did they get the word spirit? What language is it derived from? What word was literally translated? Okay, it was breath and air. What is air? What is breath? Break it all the way down. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad just said it in a simple way. We just went through 3-4 slides to prove what he just said in what 3-4 sentences, 4-5 sentences. Like, so he'll say it in such a simple way that you don't understand it. Like, don't get me wrong, the breaking down of the things into a deeper understanding is good. And breaking it down might help you understand it even more. But he just took all that breaking down understanding and said it in a paragraph. That's why when you hear wise people say something, even if it's just a sentence, you really gotta listen to it like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 20 times to really understand what they're saying. Now the next verse people like to use, I take it back. The next verse people don't like to use when they say God is a spirit. I bring up the simple verse, we made his image and likeness. Image, we look like him. Likeness, we act like him. Or image, the outside, likeness, the inside. It's that simple. But people so wrapped up in the belief that God do not possess a material body, try to do all this mental jujitsu and evading to get around this one point. The current Orthodox interpretation of this passage renders the image and likeness here referred to as spiritual likeness, therefore eliminating any possibility that God looks like man. However, those who understand Hebrew know that this is the most inappropriate interpretation about that passage. The Hebrew words salim, image, and demut, likeness. And y'all, I don't speak Hebrew. If you speak Hebrew and you don't say it like salim or demut, correct me. That's how it looks. That's how I'm saying it. Denotes the outward form, not attributes. So, let's go over it again. The Hebrew words salim, which means image, and demut, which means likeness, denotes the outward form, not attributes. Not, oh, it's just relating to the inner qualities or what we could be. No, it's talking about the outward form, not the inner attributes. Then, according to Helmer, I don't know how to say bro last name, Rangren, in his book Israelite Religion, the meaning of the words salim and demut hardly allows this statement to refer to anything but corporal similarity, which means we physically look like God. I'm going to put corporal on the screen. Basically, it's just saying the physical body. The matter, the outside of the human being. All right, cool. Mariana C. Horowitz, might be saying her name wrong too. Everything I'm saying wrong, just put it on the screen. Says salim is a Hebrew term which contained anthropomorphic corporal imagery. Anthropomorphic is the same thing as corporal, the human body. The root of this separate thinking, let's go into that. Where did the people start to say, all right, we're going to throw away the corporal reality. We're going to throw away the anthropomorphic meanings and definitions. We're going to only stick to God being just a spook spirit in the sky. Wade Noble notes, the reality of the ancients was always conceived of as the synthesis of the visible and the invisible, the material and the immaterial, the cognitive and the emotive, the inner and the outer. He says the supreme being, according to the ancients, was simultaneously spiritual and material. Egyptologist Theophile Obenja observes the opposition between matter and spirit does not exist in ancient Egypt. We really can stop there, at least on this point. The opposition between matter and spirit does not exist in ancient Egypt, where nature forms a whole. Matter and consciousness intermingle. Spirit and matter are both modes of the same reality. Now, ask ourselves, the brothers and sisters watching this, ask yourself, we currently in the Western Hemisphere, we currently have all our teachers, and I'm not saying who just in your school, who made the curriculum that the teachers in your school go by. All our teachers, all the people that's been teaching us for the last 400, 500 years is not our people and is the enemy of our people historically. So if we can look back and see what our people did, it's much easier to put yourself on what side of the coin you want to fight for. And I wouldn't even say of the coin, because the side of the coin is still the same coin. We want to be able to differentiate coins. This is the coin of our people. This is the coin of a different people. And we must educate ourselves on which one is wise for us to pick the side of. Is it wise for us to pick the side of a people that's not ours, take on their ideologies, their thought processes, their beliefs, or take on the side of our people, the people who not only connect to our interests, connect to our mindset or whatever, but connect to our biology. So if we can look at this and we can clearly start pointing out differences, we can at least put a line down the middle and separate the two sides. If you want to pick this side or this side, but it's your choice. But I think it's at least wise for us to start educating ourselves on the two different sides. Because a lot of people say, well, do it matter? Yes, it matters. And even by you asking that question, I know where you at intellectually, which I'm not knocking you, because I only came onto this course of knowledge a couple years ago. So I'm not knocking nobody who say, well, is it a difference? It really don't matter. Da, da, da. Hey, I hope you grow into the knowledge and grow into it on your own time. But let's go back into the root of this separate thinking. The change of view can be traced back to Rene Descartes' 17th century philosophy, now known as the Cartesian split, which at least popularized this thinking. So I'm not saying it started here, but it began to get more popular here. This notion of matter purified of all spiritual element developed for the most part in France and Great Britain, the West, where we at right now. Now, you might say, well, you can go to other places, you can go to the East and and everybody think God is spirit. Okay, this is new. Keep in mind, the whole world has been colonized by the people of the West. So just because people in the East or North, South, any goddamn where share the same thought process or interest or whatever as the people of the West, don't mean it originated outside the West. That just mean the people of the West went there and colonized it. Elijah Muhammad said that the Christians twist up the Bible in such a way they will read in the way of their behalf. Just to get you thinking, would you trust the people who performed multiple genocides on your people, proven to lie to you about God, always kill and oppress you every time they encounter you in the world, support things that are against God, etc.? If I don't do correct actions, would you trust me to teach you the truth about God? If I'm clearly not a representative or a person that follow God, and you can see that through my actions, would you trust me to teach you about God? If I'm your oppressor, do you think I will give you the correct knowledge of God, which is the most powerful information you can have that will lead to your ascension in knowledge and power, which will lead to you breaking the oppression that I have created for you? The ultimate answer is no. So if we can identify the people who taught us about religion to fit this criteria, and you can still say, well, I'm going to still follow this people, you more brainwashed than one little video like this can help you with. So what I encourage you to do is just keep studying. I don't mean to be offensive or knock somebody, because that's why I stopped, and I never did this on camera, but I would have conversations and we would argue. I don't even want to use the word argue. We would debate religious perspectives. The reason I stopped doing it is because if I attack your religion, even though you're not the owner of their religion, you didn't create it. Once you attack the religion and somebody has chose to believe in this religion, it feels to them that you're attacking them. And you my brother, you my sister. So I don't want to create a rift between us just because we're trying to have a conversation surrounded by knowledge. So I stopped doing that. But if you can identify all the stuff I just listed and you can point it towards a people, and this people also is responsible for teaching us about majority of the stuff we know today growing up in America, and you can still say, yeah, I'm still 100% comfortable following their lead, I ain't gonna lie, guy, you need to just do some more study. I won't go deeper into that because, like I said, I won't want to offend nobody. Now let's look at our brothers and sisters evidence from deeper in the past. Now let's try to say this. Khajuraho, India. It's a stone scripture of Shiva and Shakti in sensual embrace. Let's go into it. To the ancients, spirit was masculine and matter was feminine. Excuse me. They were represented as twin gods called the mother and father of man. Sometimes they were shown in a sensual embrace, as in Shiva and Shakti of India. This represents the sensual embrace between spirit and matter. This is proof, again, that the ancients understood that the two come together. This isn't just a spirit void of matter or a matter void of spirit type thing. No, they come together, and that God Himself is a combination of both this spirit and matter, this mother and father of mankind. Not mankind, of man. I don't even want to go into what mankind means right now. I said that on accident. Take that back. At other times, the two gods were welded into one androgynous / hermaphrodite kind of deity. The profane and unlearned took this representation of great symbolism and imagined God as a literal hermaphrodite. I might be saying it wrong. I haven't had a lot of experience with this word. So, once again, I'm putting it up on the screen. And like this is what I like about learning and bringing it to the platform as I learn, bro. We're growing together. Just like a lot of y'all ain't never heard these words or whatever. Before I started this quest of knowledge, I ain't heard a lot of these words. So that's why I'm not trying to come off as a master of this knowledge. I'm reading it straight from damn PowerPoint I created. So if I'm saying stuff wrong, she correct me in the comments. Hey, we learning together, guys. But this had great meaning behind it. I won't go into it now because it don't necessarily say anything different than what we currently saying to fight the topic that we fight. But if you want to know the meaning behind why the ancients did this, we can go into that too. Just let me know in the comments. Now, let's look at the black god of summer. Ivan Sertima in his African presence in early Asia has shown that the indigenous people of the Sumerian civilization were black. Why is that important? For the reason we just said. We want to see what our people thought. Between 1889 and 1900, 30,000 texts were unearthed at Napier Lagash, the religious center of ancient Sumer. The texts, which are from the 2nd and 3rd millennium BC, have helped us to have a clear understanding of the religion of the ancient blacks. Samuel N. Kramer, in his book History Begins at Summer, observes, the stories illustrates vividly the anthropomorphic character of the Sumerian gods. Even the most powerful and most knowing among them were regarded as human in form, thought, and deed. Wait, let's see what else. T. Jacobson, in his book Primitive Democracy in Ancient Mesopotamia, said the Sumerians and Akkadians pictured their gods as human in form, governed by human emotion, and living in the same world as dead men. The Sumerians believed in one supreme god who was called Anu, who was a black man. Anu was accompanied by his wife. The mother god is called Antu, and all the other gods were his children, and all of them were humans too. All right, cool. In the Bible, and we're going to get to this later. In the Bible, don't it say, you are all gods, children of the Most High God? Hey, so do the ancient thought process and belief in God line up with the Bible? Yes. Do it line up with Quran? Yes, if you understand it properly. If you have a misunderstanding on the Bible and its interpretation now, then you will look at what the ancients did is it totally went left. All right, cool. Ahura Mazda, the god of Zarathustra and Persians, was likewise a man with a blue-black body. All right, let's start right here. I just thought of this. Y'all probably like, damn, why he giving so many references? Da 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 da. Like, you proved it, you proved it there. Because if you already alongside of agreeing or hearing out the knowledge that we get into, you probably like, cool, I don't need no more references. Let's move forward, get into it. But it's a lot of people who so stuck in their beliefs, they need 1,000 references or sources. Now, for those people, I really don't spend that much time talking or discussing with those people, because if you need 1,000 references, at this point, you're just wasting time. You want to be stuck in whatever thought process you got, and hey, that's on you. Like, if it's beneficial for you, I hope the best for you. Like I said at the beginning, I'm not necessarily trying to convince nobody to change this, that, and third. What I am trying to do is convince our brothers and sisters to keep elevating in a way in knowledge where you able to take that knowledge and manifest it in reality to give yourself a better outcome in life. If you are limited in knowledge, you limited in options. So if you limited in options and you already experiencing hell or a state of life that you not necessarily fond in or fond of, you have to increase in knowledge to get past the barriers that you currently facing. So we need to keep discussing the knowledges we discussing to get people that extra option or two that they probably weren't privy to before. So the reason we discussing this is if your love life or anything in your life not going as well as you would like, if you change the way you view things, like we talked about in the beginning, how your beliefs and expectations affect the reality that you live. If you change the way you view things and you change little tweaks because of you changing your beliefs or expectations, then you able to, all right, cool. That's another option I ain't know that I had access to, or da 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 da. All right, cool. So if God gotta be a man, according to all the knowledge we laying forward, every man has a color. I'm going to just say something small on it. I won't go into depth right now because I want to finish these slides. If God got to be a man and every man has color, you ain't never seen a damn man made out of glass. And if he made out of glass, why the hell we not made out of glass if we made in his image and likeness? But if every man has to have color, some type of pigment to him, or lack of pigmentation, but we know in science class we can't get the dominant from the recessive. We can only get the recessive from the dominant. So if black is the most dominant skin color hue, then everything else has to be more recessive than black. So everything else had to come after black, this basic science. So if you just think I'm black and I'm just saying it, I'm not. This is what the proof and science tell us. And this is what you can see when you study the ancient civilizations. They depicted their God as black, and they made vivid descriptions going into depth of his blackness. So William Branley in The Gods of Eden says Ahura Mazda is depicted in some places as a bearded human figure who stands in a stylized circular object. Ahura Mazda was a human-like god. The Greeks described their gods as anthropomorphic. They could be happy, angry, jealous. They made love, quarrel, fought, and they procreated like humans through sexual intercourse with each other and with humans. The Greek gods were adaptations of the Egyptian gods. Hence, the earliest ones of Greeks were black. He also said all the images of God, or what the ancients thought God looked like, or as he was revealed and manifested to them, had features of the indigenous Africans. Now let's go into the mystery spook god. The ancients understood that God and man were of the same nature, the only difference being that God was supreme in all his activities, whereas man has fallen. The worship of God as a formless spirit did not originate with the original people of the earth, nor was it taught by the prophets of God. Run it back, goddamn. The worship of God as a formless spirit did not originate with the original people of the earth, nor was it taught by the prophets of God. This way of viewing God began with the Greek philosophers. I don't know how to say her name. Let's give it a try. Anaxagoras. Oh, damn, I think I got it, goddamn. Anaxagoras. Sound good to me. Reacted against the anthropomorphic God of the ancients and instead proclaimed that God was an infinite, self-moving mind, not enclosed in the body. His successor, Xenophon, Damn, why everybody got Z's in that name? Xenophanes launched a full-fledged attack on the gods of the Greek pantheon and of the original people. This incorporeal god was standardized by Plato. So, let's take all that, let's make it super simple. 3 dudes we can look at here. Anaxagoras, Xenophanes, and Plato worked to make this incorporeal, how he described it, an infinite self-moving mind God that isn't enclosed in the physical body. They started to expand this type of thought process even more. Now we got to ask ourselves, who the hell is these people to change the thought process our mothers and fathers had, the original people of the earth, the ancients of the earth, believed for trillions of years? And not even believed, because belief is a weaker expression. What our people knew for a fact. Who are these people to change up what we knew? So that's why it's important to ask ourselves, where did these thought processes or facts originate from? If it didn't originate from our people, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna necessarily say to hell with it, but we have to analyze it thoroughly to make sure it aligns with what we want the stuff we stand on to align with. For Platonists, the people that study under Plato, the idea of divine corporeality could be dismissed by a simple syllogism. This is the reasoning behind this. And then when we think about if God who we say he is, think about how stupid this reasoning is. They say God is supremely real and supremely good. I think all of us could agree on that. Then they say matter is least real and least good. Since man chooses to do wrong, they say God can't be bad. Okay. God is supremely real and supremely good. I don't think it's now we can disagree with that. Okay, cool. Then they say matter is least real and least good. So this they reasoning for saying God can't have a physical body. They saying since man chooses to do wrong, they say God can't be man. Think about all the bad stuff you did in your life. You chose to do wrong, guy. It's not that the flesh, the material body you in forced you to do wrong. Then you can say, oh, but what if I stole some when I was little? Okay. Even in the Bible, or do it say this in the Quran? I think it said this in the Quran. It basically say that God won't punish you when you don't know better. So the argument they having here is stupid. They say God is real and supremely good. God is supremely real and supremely good. Cool. If God is supremely real, and we look up the definition of real, and the definition of real ties into the definition to exist, and for something to exist, it has to be proven to exist. How you gonna prove that a spirit outside the physical body exists? Where the hell is your proof that this floating God exists? So they contradicting themselves right now, right there. If they say God is supremely real, I agree. And I also say God got a body. You say God is supremely real, and you say God is a flown spirit, and you have no evidence behind this belief. So it's just like what we said at the beginning of the video. If I just say something and I have no evidence behind it at all, I ain't gonna lie, I might as well just stop talking. Now folks will say, but you gotta have faith, you gotta have but believe in the unseen. I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with it. But we also got to look at the fact of history. And like I said, if everybody else believed that God is inside a material body, Not limited to that material body. That's the part I think people misunderstand. I'm not saying he is limited to the body he possessed. He chose to possess a body. So he's not limited to it. But for you to say God is just a floating spirit, what evidence do we have that this is even possible? You know what I'm saying? What evidence do we have that it's possible for Mary to conceive a child without the agency of a male? If we know that a woman gets pregnant from sperm and ovum and clot forming after that, etc., and that process moving forward, where did the sperm come from? If you say the sperm came from the spirit, so something immaterial is able to carry something material, then you'll say, well, it wasn't any sperm. Well, how can you back that up? What logical person can look at that and say, yeah, that's what happened? And this was 2,000 years ago. Okay. Why do we have no other record of this ever happening before this or after this? And don't in your Bible it say, for I'm your Lord, I do not change. So if one person got pregnant by a ghost, if God don't change, it got to be somebody else somewhere that got pregnant by a ghost, either in the trillions of years before Jesus or between now and then. This over a 2,000 year period. So if for I'm your Lord, I do not change, somebody got to be misinterpreting something. If God clearly said he don't change, we have to be misinterpreting, did Mary really get pregnant by a ghost? Most people who study into depth know this cap, but I'm just using it as an example. So going back to this, they said God can't be a man because matter is least real and least good. Going back to how I just broke down good and I didn't have to look at it. I mean, broke down real. I didn't have to look at it because I did this years ago, like trying to understand what's the definition of real and what it means to exist and this, that, and the third. Matter is real. Matter can be proven to exist. So they say matter is least real and least good. Hell no. We can say the sun is matter. The sun is good. We can say the trees are matter. The trees are good. The little ants are good. Bees are good. What is good? They beneficial. They move in their purpose. They don't deviate from their purpose. That is something that's good. So without these good trees being here, me and your good ass would be dead. You know what I'm saying? So to say matter is not real is stupid. To say matter is not good is stupid. Then if God who we say he is, the all-wise, the almighty, you mean to tell me if God chooses to take on a material, corporal, anthropomorphic body, then this God can't be good because he chose to manifest himself in a physical body? If we say that God is the Almighty, the All-Wise, the All-Powerful, the Master over all things, you mean to tell me he can't master the body he chooses to possess? Since me and you have a body we choose not to do righteous acts in, you mean to tell me you're putting that same smut on God? If God was to take a physical body, he won't be able to master the physical body? Come on, bro. This sounds crazy. Now let's go into the Bible verses. I hope after we just talked about what we just talked about, it brings more light to these verses. Let's start simple. The Bible say he. The Bible say king. Both of these refer to something with male genitalia. If something doesn't have male or female genitalia connected to it, then we refer to it as it. So why doesn't the Bible refer to God as a it? Just the ghost or the spirit. It's this, it that. Why would it use he, king, prince, This, that, and third. You see what I'm saying? Cool. We are made in God's image and likeness. We already talked about that. I don't even want to go deeper into it. Abraham saw 3 men, and one of them was the Lord. Abraham said the Lord and his angels have feet, they eat, and suggested that they rest, which will be beneficial to someone who suffers from fatigue, which is a factor that's only in play if you have a physical body. A spirit won't get fatigued. It say Moses spoke to God face to face as one speaks to a friend. They, Adam and Eve, heard the sound of the Lord walking, suggesting he got feet again, in the garden in the cool day. The ancients of days, referring to God, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair on his head was like pure wool. That was in Daniel 7:9. I ain't put the exact verses of the previous stuff because, bro, you literally can just type in the sentence I just said and it'll pop up. Do research on your own. Something as simple as God speaking to people. What do you know speaks to people that is not human? Not only do you have a mouth, but you need a brain to come up with the words and all the other faculties needed to produce not only sound, but words. Because you can make sound from stepping on something, like they said in the Garden of Eden. But he got the faculties to speak. But this is not a human. Now, all these examples we just used on God having an anthropomorphic body, a corporal body, do you think stuff like John 4:24, when they say God is a spirit, worship him in spirit, do you think the Bible will contradict itself? If it's clear places saying God has a physical body, the people of old, the ancients, say God have a physical body. Science bear witness that it ain't no such thing as no spirit just floating around who got the ability to create all this reality, something immaterial creating a material. If science bear witness that a spirit ain't finna come get no woman pregnant and birth the Messiah, if science bear witness to all these things, the Bible bear witness to all these things, and history bear witness to all these things, when you read other places, it suggests, or it seems to suggest, that God doesn't have a physical body. You have to ask yourself, will the all-wise God contradict himself? No. So since he won't contradict himself, and the only evidence you have is some spots of the book where you say, okay, this got to be talking about he don't got a physical body. If that's the only body of evidence you got to support their claim, and we know God won't contradict himself, and we got in history, in the real world today, in science, and the same as this in the scripture, it refers to God having a physical body. We have to ask ourselves, is our understanding that God don't got a physical body correct? And the more study you're going to do, you're going to come up with no. Now, this was only pages 5 through 41 in this book that I'm going to reveal at the end. Now let's go into a couple more pages on talking about the woman, the respect of the woman, tie all this back into relationships. Another important aspect of the ancient understanding of God was that the male God was always balanced with the female goddess. You did not find the God without a feminine expression of that God. Not that you will never find it, like he was never, ever by himself. But the examples we can use is Anu and Antu, Asar, Aset, El, Elat, Allah, Alat. But today in Western Judaism, Western Christianity, or Western Islam, the goddess slash feminine expression of God has been buried. Ancient civilizations were more advanced and better off. So if we want to rise as a civilization, we must value the woman in the same manner that the ancients, our mothers and fathers, value the woman. And bro, I said this in the video when I talked about modesty. The Western civilization, and if I was to generalize it, the whole world in general, don't respect women, at least not how we should, especially the West. When I say at least not how we should, I'm speaking of other places, not the West. The West damn sure don't respect their women. And we learned this from our open enemy. Like the original man and woman had a high respect and regard for each other. But since we've been learning that under our enemy for the last 500 years, we started to take on their ways. We damn sure don't respect our women. And the people of the West damn sure don't respect their women. So if we continue to learn from them and practice the practices that they give us, we see why our home life, our domestic life, and our society is going in the direction that it's going. And it damn sure ain't good. Since I know and I've been learning that my ancient fathers value the woman so highly, not highly to the point where you have a matriarchal society. We ain't even gonna talk about that today. That's false. And that has a different separate agenda attached to it, which we'll go over in future videos, but that's false. But there was definitely matriarchal aspects to the society since we respected our women so highly. But it was still a patriarchal society, and there was a hell of a lot of patriarchal reverence in the society. But like I said, we did have those matriarchal aspects where we just like today we got Mother's Day. Mother's Day is a matriarchal type of day. You know what I'm saying? You put the women on a pedestal, da da da. But in our ancient civilizations, it wasn't just like this one day. It was, think about having a Mother's Day like way more frequently and way more to it. You see what I'm saying? So we had the matriarchal values and aspects just because we loved our women. We know how important our women is and the value of our women. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said, a civilization can rise no higher than its woman. So we knew that. The original people of the earth knew that. So people will look at some of these aspects and try to make it bigger than what it is and say, oh, we had matriarchal societies. No, we did not. If we had matriarchal societies, it was on the fall of the civilization. It was on the way of the fall of the civilization, the decline of that civilization. And that's why we started adopting new things. But when we do the original thing, it was a patriarchal society. But regardless of that, we respected and had a strong connection with our women to the point where it was unity. Like, I need you, you need me. Not from the perspective of I will literally die if I don't have a woman. Nah, like Allah made us in a way where we can be independent. We can live in that manner because we are strong and powerful enough to do so. But we are more powerful. We are more beneficial when we come together. Like Asar, Aset, Anu, and two. You see what I'm saying? So could one be strong and powerful? Yes. But just like what we was talking about earlier, we believe in the combination of the two worlds, the physical, the spiritual, the material, the immaterial. Just like that, we believe in the male and the female coming together to form reality in the way that it needs to be formed. So understanding this, going back to the original point, learning this, I'm able to say, gee, if I can understand the divineness in my woman, and I understand the divineness in me, and I understand how my mothers and fathers of old, of ancient, understood how they more powerful if they come together. What I look like really fighting and arguing with my girl, I don't want to do that. I know I get the most power when I'm in unity with my girl. So it's like I gotta treat her good and treat her the best so I can become my best self. So I can ascend. If us being unified means I grow in power, I have to continue to go out my way to make her happy for my benefit. So I'm saying, I hope that it makes sense. So that's the type of thought process you start to have when you unlock a deeper knowledge. And as I continue to grow in knowledge, I keep bringing this knowledge to the platform. But I hope y'all understood everything we talked about today. I hope it resonated with you. I hope it sparked some in you to continue to learn, to continue to go on your own and study some of this knowledge. And I'm gonna make sure I put the screenshots up because the stuff that it was cited by, y'all will be able to like look at those people, see who those people is, probably dive into a little bit of their work, just keep increasing their knowledge. But the book that I got this from is called The Book of God, Encyclopedia of Proof that the Black Man is God. And I'm gonna put it on the screen. I don't think it was that expensive. I think it's probably like $25, $30, something like that. And bruh, everything I just said was from pages 5 to 41, bruh. 5 to 41. The book like 300 pages. I skipped a hell of a lot just because I didn't want to make the video a million hours. But bro, the video is so good. It's by a brother named Dr. Winston Muhammad. Go holler at him. Check out his Instagram, all that. I think it's just Dr. Winston Muhammad. I think from there you can find his website, or you probably can just type in Dr. Winston Muhammad books or something on Google. Website pop up. He got a few different books, and all of them going to deep knowledge like this. So if y'all like what y'all heard today, please leave a like, drop a comment if you got a question on anything, subscribe to the channel. I'll let y'all in the next episode of Don't Be Everybody Podcast. Yes, sir, Ski.